Hello, good evening. I'm Ernest Min, and our headlines on our Prime Desk tonight. Opposition National Democratic Congress bested at the Electoral Commission over suggestions it should table its proposed electoral reforms at the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, IPAC, accusing the EC of destroying the platform.
Have you noted the number of times that the Commission has told political parties that IPAC is toothless? So is it the same commission that is saying that now let us go to that useless body to discuss what?
We have more as the party provides details for its 34 proposals for electoral reforms.
You agree with me that 2020 elections has been one of the worst elections that they have had in the history of the Fourth Republic.
Also tonight, youth of Ejura not pleased with delays in making public findings of the three-member committee tasked to probe the Ejura disturbances that claimed 2 lives.
It took the committee less than a month to finish their work. What is it taking the Interior Minister to read a report more than a month? What time do they need more?
National Chief Imam tracks police investigations, assuring the family of his commitment to ensuring justice is served.
Make my advisory board to get involved so that we find out exactly where are we with respect to the investigations, so that we will find solution to the problem and also establish justice.
Also coming up, President Akufo-Addo urges German manufacturing firms to follow the example of VW and invest in Ghana as he joins the country to mark 75 years of German unification.
The recent establishment of a Volkswagen assembly plant in Accra is a welcome development, and we are encouraged by the fact that more and more German companies have expressed their willingness to set up shop in Ghana.
But his visit did not come without incidents as some Ghanaians accosted him chanting, "Nana, fix the country."
Nana, we beg you, fix the country. Nana, we beg you, fix the country. Nana, fix the country, we beg you. Fix the country. Fix the country so we can come back home. Oh, fix the country.
We have details of this plus the latest in the world of business, showbiz and sports here on Joy News Prime, which is coming to you live from our studios at Fanofa Kokomlemle Accra. We are on your digital TV because we are free to air. DSTV channel 421, Go TV 144. This is your home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. I'm Ernest Mino. Stay tuned in. Hello again, many thanks for joining us. To the details now. The National Democratic Congress, NDC, says the Electoral Commission's suggestions to the party to table its proposed electoral reforms before the IPAC is unfounded. According to General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the party is shocked at the position of the EC because it had promised to look at the reforms and take a decision, only to hear in the media that the EC says they should go to IPAC. At a media briefing today to discuss the reforms, Johnson Asiedu Nketia said the party cannot go to IPAC because that platform itself is problematic and requires immediate fixing.
If you are sick with a lighter ailment and you are advised to go to a hospital that is COVID infested, what will be your reaction? Part of our suggestion is to reform IPAC and take it back to the original reasons why IPAC was set up. So if it is adopted, everybody will go to IPAC to find resolution. But if the IPAC is not delivering on the reasons why it was established, it will amount to plowing the sun, if you ask me to go back to IPAC. And of all the people who are suggesting the IPAC route, none of them amuses me more than that which was coming from the commission itself. Have you noted the number of times that the commission has told political parties that IPAC is toothless? IPAC cannot suggest anything to them. They have absolute independence. So is it the same commission that is saying that now let us go to that useless body to discuss what? And what will the outcome represent? So Electoral Commission never ceases to amuse some of us, honestly. On one hand, they will say, IPAC cannot dictate anything to us. And when we are saying the population that put you there, let us discuss these things and let's get them implemented, we are still calling that we should go back to IPAC. When they said they were not working with IPAC, and they established the Committee of Eminent Persons. Fortunately, the chairman of our committee is from the Committee of Eminent Persons, and I'm sure he may wish to call a meeting at which these proposals will be tabled.
Let's look at some of the details of the NDC proposal. The party wants IPAC to get legislative backing, and the EC is split into two in order to separate its regulatory and operational functions of the commission. Nana Tudazi, who is chairman of the party's technical committee on reforms, explained why.
In the first, we propose that members of the EC should be appointed by the president in consultation with the Council of State and with the prior approval of Parliament, provided that the chairperson shall be approved by 2/3 of all the members of Parliament. Now we draw attention to a similar independent institution of the Constitution, the Supreme Court, whose members are similarly appointed on the advice of the Judicial Council or in consultation with the Council of State as appropriate, but in all cases with the prior approval of Parliament. In our second flagship recommendation, we propose to the NDC party that the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, that's the IPAC, should be backed by legislation, and that its composition and functions should be clearly spelled out in the legislation. We draw attention to a similar independent body in the Constitution, the judiciary, whose Judicial Council also has its composition and functions spelled out, both in the Constitution and in legislation. In the NDC's third flagship recommendation, we propose that ultimately the EC itself should be split into two separate and distinct bodies. One, Office of the Regulator of Political Parties, ORPP, responsible for the registration and regulation of political parties.
My colleague Kweku Asante was at this news conference and joins us with details. Kweku, the NDC still believes some political parties must be shown the exit from IPAC, or at least not given equal voting rights as the parties who are very active in the political space. Tell us more.
All right, Ernest. You know, the NDC have been up in arms for a while now against smaller political parties who they say are in bed with the governing New Patriotic Party and the Electoral Commission to vote against them during IPAC meetings. You know, during the tenure of Madame Jane Mensah, decisions at IPAC are subject to vote. But the NDC says some of these smaller political parties are not qualified enough to be able to take decisions for elections that they themselves will not be contesting in. And so they are trying to make recommendation that these reforms that they are putting out must ensure that political parties, smaller political parties, that may not be able to contest the election, the Electoral Commission must take measures to be able to seek them out. So according to Nana Tudazi, this will ensure that political parties that are worth their salt and the political parties that can actually contest for election are the ones that will be in operation.
We can take a listen to Nana Tudazi on this point.
They raise issues with us for our silence on the issue of the increasing monetization of electoral politics, which they think is deafening. They also propose the creation, that the proposed office of the regulator of political parties, ORPP, should be redesignated Multi-Party Democracy Commission, MPDC, with an expanded mandate to address the pathologies of the political system and to monitor the health of Ghana's democracy, especially in periods in between elections. They also proposed that our proposed name, ORPP, should be changed to Political Parties Regulatory Commission.
Kweku Asante is still with me on Zoom. Kweku, the party, despite several months, is still holding on to their claim that the 2020 election was heavily flawed.
Right. So according to General Secretary of the party, John Ketia, although they went to court and the Supreme Court actually ruled that the election was credible, they still have found some bottlenecks that actually jostled them to be able to put together a technical team headed by Nanato Dazi as well as Professor Kwame to be able to come up with this recommendation. They say that while some of these recommendations in and of themselves have been in the system for a while, some of these issues that came up are what they gleaned from the 2020 election. And they believe that these 34 proposals that they are putting out, if they are able to implement them, then the success of future elections in the country will be something that other African countries and other countries around the world will be coming to learn. And so they still insist that the 2020 election was heavily flawed. We can listen to General Secretary Johnson Esedungetia.
It is trite knowledge that all is not well about our elections in Ghana. Some of the problems began as far back as 1992. Some have got solutions along the way. And for each passing election from the 1992 elections, we thought we were making progress because each election represented an improvement on the previous elections until 2020 came. And you agree with me that 2020 elections has been one of the worst elections that we have had in the history of the Fourth Republic. We did our part as a political party to resolve some of the problems without success.
Let's do some more on this story. Dr. Kwame Asante is a senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, and he joins us on Zoom. Doc, thank you very much for your time here on Joy News Prime. Do you take the EC's position that the NDC's proposal must be tabled before IPAC, although the party insists that IPAC is problematic?
Oh, I think the appropriate forum is the IPAC. The NDC should be able to go there and then have a conversation with the stakeholders. And I think they will do themselves good if they go to that forum.
Let's look at the proposals. The asking that the Electoral Commission be appointed with prior parliamentary approval. Is that something you subscribe to?
Oh, yes, I support that. That proposal is apt in the sense that if you look at appointment of Electoral Commission members, the President will appoint in consultation with Council of State under Article 70, Clause 2 of the 1992 Constitution. It is possible for a President to appoint some people which the Council of State may reject. Remember, Council of State is an advisory body. Whatever they advise, it is incumbent on the President to either accept or reject it. Yeah. All right. So I believe that if you allow the people's representative, which is members of the Parliament, to vet those people, it is nothing but the best. I support this proposal, this point, for instance.
What is your take on the suggestion that the EC must be split in terms of functions? So we have what they call a body that deals with the regulatory aspects of political parties, dealing with political parties and making sure that they live up to expectation. And then another body, the EC proper, that will then deal with the operations of the EC, running elections. What do you make of that proposal?
I disagree with the NDC vehemently, in the sense that then we are likely to create a rivalry body within the EC. Remember that the EC, part of its responsibility to, administer these administrative processes and measures, all right? So it is part of its mandate to assign people to do that work. But if you want to separate them, strictly speaking, then I'm afraid you are going to create a rivalry body, and that will create problems for us. I believe that that point, they must drop that.
And just before you go, the EC had said that it referred to IPAC because it believes that it needs to build consensus on these issues of reforms and policy, and they need the buy-in of other political parties. But it appears the relationship between the EC and the opposition has been quite turbulent. How do you advise, being major stakeholders in the electoral process, how do you advise that they work amicably going forward?
It is incumbent upon all the members of IPAC, including EC, the stakeholders, to sit down and and discuss issues that will near to the benefit of the commission. All right, there is no point, trying to hold an entrenched position if you really want to table a motion for people to consider. So I think that yes, NDC has a case. They should be able to go to IPAC and table it. And then EC will also sit down with them in conjunction with other members of IPAC so that they look at the issues and discuss them properly, so that at the end of the day, the state will be the most beneficiary of all these processes. Let us remember that if you have a very solid electoral system, you are going to, engender confidence within the political system. And at the end of the day, whoever goes to election and loses will accept defeat and abide by the rules of the game.
Doc, I'm grateful that you could join us. That's Dr. Kwame Asasante, a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana's Political Science Department. Away from that, it's almost 1 month since the Justice Committee of Inquiry into the Ejura incident submitted its report to the Interior Minister. The details of the report and recommendations are yet to be made public. Ohim Interior of our security desk chronicles incidents leading to the setting up of the committee. In anticipation, its report will soon be made public.
Court documents have revealed social activist Ibrahim Mohammed, also known as Kaka Machu, was attacked whilst entering his Ejura line residence on June 26, 2021. His assailants, who wielded clubs, attacked his occipital region, left him in an unconscious state and fled. He died on 28 June 2021, 3 days after the incident at Komfanoche Teaching Hospital. Kaka's death sparked clashes in Ejura, leading to the shooting to death of 2 people, whilst 4 others suffered gunshot injuries.
So 1 person has been shot, and you can see him in your shot there.
A committee of inquiry chaired by Court of Appeal Judge Justice George Kingsley Compson was set up by government to investigate the clashes. Members of the committee included security expert Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso and media executive Juliet Amwa, with a principal state attorney as secretary.
Having recorded this fraction of the evidence,
it began its public engagement on July 5, 2021, after a visit to Ejura, and received testimonies from 22 witnesses, including 3 in camera.
The evidence I shall give to this committee.
Among them was Municipal Chief Executive for Ejura Sechetumase, Mohammed Salisu Bamba. He told the committee 2 of the 3 persons arrested in connection with the murder of the late Kaka Machu are polling station executives of the New Patriotic Party in Ejura. They are Fuseni Alasa and Ibrahim Isaka, also known as Enyas.
You know one person called Anyas?
Yes, I know him.
What is your relationship with him?
Anyas is our police station executive, and the other guy, Alasan. He's also our police station executive. Actually, Anyas is at GKC police station, and Anyas is in the Gombalai FM-based polling station. They are MPP party members that I know.
Mr. Bamba was also quizzed on his relationship with the two men, said to be his bodyguards.
Were the two people that were arrested, are they your bodyguards?
Not at all.
But was the late Kaka Machu a known member of the Fix the Country movement? His wife and cousin provided the committee some answers.
Additional to the work that he does, he also goes round to ascertain within the community wherever he finds that something is going wrong.
One critical issue that came up at the committee's hearing was who ordered the military men to Edra. Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei Mensah admitted he did.
I called the commanding officer for battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Pepra, to dispatch some of the Operation Calm Life team to go to Edra to provide protection during that night.
Edra Nifahini, Nana Osekweju Ansebie II on the 11th day sitting of the committee described how politics has eaten into almost everything in Edra.
My Lord, there's nothing that happens in Edra that you can take politics out of it. In Edra, everything, including weddings, engagements, everything, there's some element of politics in it, depending on who is doing it.
The committee received 117 videos, 555 pictures and 1 audio in evidence during the 12-day public hearing.
So in all, we have spent 12 days of examining the evidence.
However, some witnesses came under a barrage of attacks after appearing before the committee. Prominent among them was Love FM's Erastus Asaidonko, whose testimony was described as stupid and irrelevant by Chairman of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee, Kennedy Ejapong. But Justice Kumsin told journalists on July 16, 2021, none of the evidence received was foolish.
Who decides what is stupid? We as a committee, we are a fact-finding committee. And we've not come out to say that anyone's evidence is stupid or is irrelevant. Erastus gave evidence, a lot of evidence, video, and apart from that, I think he appeared before us, testified, yes, oral testimony. And I don't think none of his evidence looks stupid.
On July 27, 2021, the committee presented its report in a 55-page document to the Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry, who promised to study and report findings to President Akufo-Addo. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohim Interior reporting.
The youth of Ejura are unhappy with government's delay in making public findings of the 3-member committee tasked to investigate the disturbances there. That's according to the family spokesperson of the late Kaka, Nafui Mohammed. Nafui Mohammed believes the swift implementation of the committee's report will bring closure to the youth in the area.
Our appeal to the family and the minister is to speed up. It took the committee less than a month to finish their work. What is it taking the Interior Minister to read a report more than a month? What is it? What time do they need more? Please, the youth and the citizens of Ejura need peace and justice. So they are ready for the what? They are ready to hear the outcome of the committee's report. So the youth are not happy about the delay. So we are still waiting, and we say the youth of Ejura need justice. Those who were hurt, I have the brother who is amputated and other colleagues, they really need justice. So we are talking and we are praying and we are appealing to the necessary authorities to do the needful, and let's get the report out for things to unfold.
The family of the late Kaka on Tuesday petitioned the Chief Imam Sheikh Nuhu Osman Shaributu to track the status of the investigation. The family observed that the police investigation has brought more pain to them and that the Chief Imam should use his high office to ensure justice is served to the bereaved family. The Chief Imam, in responding to the appeal, also expressed concern over the delay. He, however, tasked the advisory board to track the progress of the case and ensure justice is delivered.
So that let's all be kind and be good. When we are good, to all the blessings, the consequence will come to our children and the younger generations. So we pray for all those who have departed. We pray for our grandparents and other family members. We pray for God's mercy. May God have compassion on them. We also want to pray that our end should be good. May we end on a very good note. Whatever appeal that has been brought to me this morning, I am also concerned. I'm also affected that I have not heard anything from the investigations. I will make my advisory board to get involved so that we find out exactly where are we with respect to the investigations.
Wife of the deceased, Sardar Nuhu, says she is struggling to fend for the family since the demise of her husband. According to her, she depends on handouts from friends for her upkeep. The widow appealed to government to release Idi Mohammed, brother of Kaka, who has been kept in police custody over his alleged involvement in the murder of Kaka. She narrated her ordeal to my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
Ya taimaka musu to shi kuma ga shaidin da aka dagwara mai shi ma an kama shi yasa yanzu rayuwa dai shi Allah da Annabi da ƴan uwaye da mutanen duniya baki daya mai 2000 mai 3000 mai 1 cedi mai 2 cedi ake taimaka muna muke samu muna rayuwa kadan da shi yasa gaskiya muna bukatan taimako ƴan uwaye duniya baki daya wanda ke da niyyar taimaka muna maraba da shi domin rayuwa yanzu ya sake abin da kenan.
In totality, what she's saying is that life has been very difficult after the demise of our brother, Kaka. So what is really happening is that we are now left to the mercy of benevolent family members and benevolent society. So society are now helping us. People who have 1 cedi, 2 cedi are those people helping us now. The greater pain of the incident is the arrest of our brother, Idi Mohammed. He is the one who is supposed to have been helping out. Before the demise of our brother, he works, and I also work as a wife to assist him so that we take care of the children. Now, Idi is now in that arena to help us, because he will go and work and bring food to the family. But now, this is the case that they have falsified testimonies that have led to his arrest. And now we are faced with this problem. If he is there, Idi Mohammed, if he is there, he will go out and work for us to be able to feed the family.
Love in its simplicity is pure and unconditional. John News' Muhammad Nuruddin tells the story of two lovers who are defying all odds and moving shoulder to shoulder to sell coconut on the streets of Kwadaso, a suburb of Kumasi. The pain of poverty and uncertainty about the future doesn't discourage the enthusiasm to live together.
Actually, my name is Samuel Kofi Mensah. I'm locally known as Nyameche, Kofi Nyameche, yes, please. I'm from Mabredunka, let me say, but I was born in Eastern region, sorry. That is Achem, yeah.
My name is Amwako Esther. I am 22 years. I completed Tridium Senior High School. I was working with Grand Mall at Peki.
China for Grand Mall.
Even on the streets, Esther Amwako and Samuel Kofi Mensah don't conceal their mutual love. They are just 22 and 24 years old, respectively.
True.
They have both completed senior high school but were unable to continue because of financial difficulties. But how did Esther and Samuel meet?
Actually, I was having a best friend then when I was staying at Asafo. So my best friend was dating her younger sister. So I saw a post or a picture of them together. And then I told the girlfriend that, oh no, this is your senior sister, I want to be with her. And she was like, some nigga did something bad to her, so she doesn't want to date again. Then I talked to her and said, oh, okay, for me, I will let you have belief in men.
The moment they penalize say, or you hard work or pay Juma, I did be a disc baby away.
I like him because he's hardworking. He does everything he can for a living. He also treats me so nicely.
A strong relationship requires choosing to love each other, even in moments when you struggle to love yourselves.
Nyameche has been with me through thick and thin. I don't like keeping sugar daddies. We do not know the source of their wealth, and these sugar daddies can kill you.
Sugar daddy now
Both of them worked with two different organizations. Samuel received 400 cedis, whereas Esther had an income of 750 cedis. But as the love bears were getting much stronger in strengthening their financial capabilities, a storm hit. Both were fired the same day.
And one sad truth was, when I was laid out from the company, my wife was, my girlfriend was also laid out the same very day. She was also laid out, and then the story was so sad. The story was she was given 272 cedis for laying her out, and then me, I wasn't given anything, so I wasn't having any penny in my account. And then I talked to my woman, and my girlfriend, and then she was like, oh, so what are we going to do about this? I wasn't having anything in my account. My momo, I was even owing MTM momo. I was owing them. And then the girl was having 230 in her account. And then she was giving that 272 too. So, father. So in surplus, she was having 402 cedis or something, and then due to that, we just need to withdraw the money so we can start with new business.
They dedicate a lot of their time on the streets selling coconut to further their education.
We're planning and then helping each other so we can save more to further her education. She says she wants to further to nursing training or nursing college or something. But then I prefer university because that one is a degree, not a diploma. So, yo, Nana.
If things become better for us, Nyameche should not make any mistake of betraying me. I would not want to see him going for another woman. We have struggled together.
Chamai. But for me, no, because I'm willing even to die for this lady. I actually like her and I love her so much. I would never, and this will be a testimony. This will be actually one of the biggest testimony ever in the world. I'm gonna watch over her. I'll actually marry her so soon, very soon, before she even continues her education. And then I promise her firstly, so I'm not gonna like go just beyond or go out of their business.
Though their relationship is only 3 years old, the lady says it is more profound to help her man to grow in wealth than to drain him into poverty.
It is said that loving and being loved unconditionally means taking a leap of faith. So the measure of love is to love without measure.
That is why Esther and Samuel have been lovers unconditionally, and the greatest gift they want to give each other is the space to be themselves without the threat of any of them leaving. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
Beautiful love story there. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Timino. Still to come, President Akufo-Addo urges German manufacturing firms to follow the example of VW and invest in the country.
The recent establishment of a Volkswagen assembly plant in Accra is a welcome development, and we are encouraged by the fact that more and more German companies have expressed their willingness to set up shop in Ghana.
But his visit did not come without incident, as some Ghanaians accosted him chanting, "Nana, fix the country."
Nana, we beg you, fix the country. Nana, we beg you, fix the country. Nana, fix the country, we beg you. Fix the country. Fix the country so we can come back home. Oh, fix the country.
And welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aiji. The former Finance Minister said Tekpe is cautioning the government not to breach the Public Financial Management Act by making sure the $1 billion special drawing right from the International Monetary Fund goes through the Appropriation Act, an act of Parliament, before being spent. The Finance Minister, Kwame, has revealed that the government will spend the $1 billion from the fund to aid the ongoing COVID-19 economic recovery. But Mr. Tekpe says that any plans to spend the $1 billion from the fund without going through Parliament is contrary to the constitutional and legal framework of the country.
Once resources flow to the country, there's a constitutional and a legal context.
And what are the constitutional and legal contexts?
Now, the constitutional and legal context is that any revenue that is accruing to the state must be paid into the consolidated fund, which consolidated fund is part of the public accounts for the state, for government. The Ministry of Finance is in charge of the consolidated, fund. And so I'm tracing the flow. The flow is must come into the consolidated fund. And that's the only way it must come into the country. Now, any monies that go into the consolidated fund without Parliament giving earlier, way in which it must be spent, can only be appropriated by Parliament under our Constitution and the Public Financial Management Act. This is similar. So if you look at IMF programs that we have done in the past, of course, Parliament is notified about the program, and then the resources come into the country.
The Minister for Information, Kojo Nkrumah, has charged the marketing as well as professionals within the media space to support government efforts in propagating the good news of the Continental Free Trade Agreement area to revive the economy post-COVID-19. According to him, the media has a role in convincing some 33,000 professionals to meet their tax obligations. Mr. Nkrumah was speaking at the Graphic Business Stanbic Breakfast meeting in Accra. We have more in this report.
According to the Information Minister, Kojo Nkrumah, the pandemic has brought some level of challenge on media and marketing, hence the need for practitioners to get involved in convincing professionals and businesses on the positive happenings in the economy. The minister was speaking under the theme, Media and Marketing Communications Post-COVID-19, a catalyst for Africa's socio-economic resurgence. According to him, the 33,000, which includes engineers, lawyers and accountants, do not pay taxes but want everything in the country to be fixed.
You have to convince the very person who refuses to wear masks that the economy needs to be reopened so he doesn't go hungry. And that you cannot even lock up everybody who does not wear a mask. And you need the help of the media and marketing communications to succeed at that. You have to convince the 33,000 engineers, lawyers, accountants, and other professionals who are not paying tax, according to the Ghana Revenue Authority, yet are asking for everything to be fixed, that they have to pay their due if we are to rake in the 10% of GDP and lower our borrowing. And you need the help of the marketing communications professionals and the media to succeed at that. You have to convince a Ghanaian businessman who is looking forward to tapping into the Africa continental free trade opportunities that we have to explore Zoom calls and other non-personal trade mechanisms because we just cannot do business as usual. These efforts are not easy.
Meanwhile, commenting on the theme, outgoing president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Alfred Mone, stressed the need for business and economic journalists to take up the challenge of projecting economic growth for the country.
Between well-researched, well-presented business and economic news and a country's economic upswing. So this reinforces the need for the Ghanaian media, the need for all key players to make a conscious effort to move the paradigm from the obsessive and compulsive politics which has enveloped this country to specialization, especially on business and financial journalism, since it holds the key to picking us up from this pickle caused by COVID-19.
Other members on the panel have also charged the media to find diverse ways of disseminating information in the midst of the pandemic.
And that'll be for business for this segment. In the meantime, sports will be up next to stay.
Many thanks for staying with us. Time to bring you sports here on Joy News Prime. I'm Hans Mensah Ando. The Paralympic Games is underway in Tokyo, and before Team Ghana led the country for the competition, President of the National Paralympic Committee, Samson Dean, revealed the athletes are in good shape to make the country proud.
We have had a very extensive training regime, which at this time we are ready for the competition. We ask Ghanaians to favor us with the kind of prayers that we bless Samuel Techi with, so that the three of our athletes who will be competing in athletics, powerlifting, and cycling will also be blessed with favor of sports to be able to win us medals. We have assured the minister that we are going to bring 3 medals. We are doing this not just by saying. We know what we have been able to do behind the scene through training regime that we had. So we want Ghanaians to support us, pray with us, join us anytime, and we are going to assure them of victory at the end.
Now, Ghana has presented 3 para-athletes to participate in the 2020 Games in Tokyo, which began earlier today. Team Ghana will compete in powerlifting, athletics, and cycling. My colleague Charles Macarius has been profiling the 3 para-athletes representing Ghana.
Emmanuel Ni-Tete Uku was Ghana's flag bearer at the opening ceremony of the Paralympic Games. His left leg was amputated after being shot working as a palace guard. As a result, he is considered as an above-knee amputee. The 30-year-old will compete in the men's 72 kg powerlifting event. He qualified for the Paralympic Games after winning bronze in the men's 72 kg category at the World Para Powerlifting World Cup in Manchester. Yusuf Amedu was Ghana's flag bearer at the 2016 Paralympic Games hosted in Rio. In the Rio Games, he finished 11th and will compete in the T42 high jump this year. In 2017, Amedu was named the Para-Athlete of the Year at the Sports Writers Association of Ghana Awards. Amedu's leg impairment is due to the effects of polio. Frederick Asso is a para-cyclist who will compete for Team Ghana in the men's B4000 meters individual pursuit and the men's B1000 meters time trial. He has been active in previous years as he has participated in the 2018 Commonwealth Games in Australia and enjoyed a good run at the Tandem Elite Championship. Asso is blind and competes in the tandem event, which sees athletes use a sighted pilot and a non-sighted rider.
Head coach of the Black Stars, Siki Akono, says there is no one more interested in winning the Africa Cup of Nations than him. The former Asante Kotoko and Hartlepool coach appreciates the desire of the government to win the next edition of the tournament, a move many say will put pressure on CK and his team. He insists he's the first person who wants to end the country's trophy drought.
Okay, so let me make it clear. If there's any other person that wants to win, I'm the first person. I want to win, okay? If that pressurizes me, you cannot talk about the national job without any pressure. First of all, as a player, I have played under pressure. Now a coach, I've coached under pressure. I don't let the pressure overwhelm me. I don't allow that. It's been part of me. I don't let it take control over me. So the other day I read, are you under pressure to, I don't let it, there's pressure in this job. I mean, all of you, all of us, there's pressure in it. But like I said, I don't let it overwhelm me. And so I take in charge, I take control over it. And I do my job. I do what I have to do. I'm more focused. I want to do this. I want to make sure this happens. Because I know when it happens, my name will come up. You understand me?
That's it for this installment of sports, but still to come in the bulletin, President Akufo-Addo urges German manufacturing firms to follow the example of VW and invest in Ghana as it joins the country to mark 75 years of German unification. But his visit did not come without incident, though, as some Ghanaians accosted him chanting, "Nana, fix the country."
Beg you, fix the country. Nana, fix the country. We beg you. Fix the country. Fix the country so we can come back home. Oh, fix the country.
Now, President Akufo-Addo is in Germany dealing with various official duties there. Among the events there is in his visit to the drug manufacturer Pfizer, signing off a pact with German authorities on some economic cooperation, among others. This morning, he attended a ceremony in Düsseldorf, Germany, where he delivered a speech as part of the 75th anniversary celebration of the North Rhine-Westphalia, Germany. Now, he used the occasion to woo more German manufacturing companies to follow the example of car makers VW to set up in Ghana.
We in Ghana are drawing inspiration from the success stories of North Rhine-Westphalia and Germany, because likewise, we want to build a progressive and prosperous country. There's an often cited African proverb which says, and I quote, "If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together." We have resolved to work hand in hand with North Rhine-Westphalia and Germany because we desire to walk far, especially as we share common attachments to the common values of respect for individual liberties and human rights, of respect for the rule of law, and of respect for the principles of democratic accountability. Embarking on such a journey means we are having to accelerate the process of changing the structure of the Ghanaian economy, which will enable us to participate fully in the global marketplace, not on the basis of exports of raw materials, but on the basis of the exports of things we make. With Germany being a major exporter of industrial products and technology, with North Rhine-Westphalia being in the lead, Ghana's relations with Germany are of utmost importance and must be hinged on this. The recent establishment of a Volkswagen assembly plant in Accra is a welcome development, and we are encouraged by the fact that more and more German companies have expressed their willingness to set up shop in Ghana. We want to renew and deepen our relations with Germany, with North Rhine-Westphalia at her center, to our mutual advantage. We do want to, and we shall work to take Ghana to where she deserves to be, a prosperous and dynamic member of the world community, which is neither victim nor pawn of the world order. Ghana is doing her part in leading the march for the development of Africa. It is an exciting time for us, and we welcome residents and enterprises of North Rhine-Westphalia, and indeed of Germany as a whole, to join us to achieve this goal.
Well, the president's visit to Germany was also met with some incidents as some Ghanaian residents there accosted him and demanded that he fixes the country.
Ghana president. Ghana president. Ghana president.
Hey, Nana, peace the country, oh, peace the country. Nana, peace the country, we love you. Nana, we beg you, fix the country. Nana, we beg you, fix the country. Nana, fix the country, we beg you, fix the country. Fix the country, so we can come back home.
Begging for our rights all the time.
Fix the country so we can come back home, oh, fix the country.
Country fix.
Fix the country so we can come back home. We want to come back home, oh, we want to come back home. Fix the country.
We have our own rights.
Fix the country.
Yeah.
We are not here for life.
We have gold, we have oil, everything we have.
We are suffering, you want to come back.
Now, away from that, the Ministry of Land and Natural Resources is taking steps to ban the assembling and use of champagne boats which float on water bodies for dredging. Declaring the equipment illegal is part of the government's drive to halt the dredging of water bodies for gold. The move will allow the task force against illegal mining to arrest producers of the equipment and destroy production workshops. Nana Ojima digs into the operation of water dredgers and the importance of the champagne boats in the operations.
That's the sound of the champagne, hence its famous name, Tutututu. The mountain of the dredging equipment, known as champagne, has become common as gold miners desperately search for gold ore in river bodies. The equipment mainly consists of motor-powered barrel-like apparatus held together with a steel. Wooden boards cover the platform, powered by champagne engines. On top of the boat-like machine are compartments which aid the washing of sand, deployed by alluvial miners in their operations. The activity contributes largely to destruction of water bodies. Here are some affected residents along the Ofen River. Those mining in the river have destroyed it. It is now unusable. Various efforts to rid river bodies of destruction by dredgers have resulted in destruction of thousands, but a lot more continue to float on rivers. The building of a boat with 2 champagne engines cost at least 15,000 cedis. It is estimated the cost for acquisition can be recovered in less than a week when business is good. Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, George Mekuduka, says fight against illegal mining will be extended to production of the boats.
We're going to go off that and come home and make sure if you are assembling or manufacturing a champagne machine, you are apprehended. Let me also say that this also doesn't give room for people to go out there to extort.
As part of efforts to deal with the dredgers, the government intends to deploy river guards to complement works of security agencies in halting bad mining practices. The ministry has already inaugurated the task force of the Small Scale Mining Association to support the fight against illegal mining, especially on rivers. Mr. Duka explains how all named forces will coexist with standing force of Operation Halt.
This is a rapid response unit. You know, we have the Operation Halt 2 that is also, going around, arresting people, making sure they sanitize the sector. This is to also augment the strength that Operation Halt 2
has and also be supporting them in all the endeavors. So this is a unit that has been set by the ministry itself. It kind of to attend to distress calls, especially those in the river bodies and the forest reserves.
For Joy News, Nana Yauchima, Kumasi.
The Techiman Circuit Court, presided over by His Lordship Justice Alexander Graham, has sentenced a 19-year-old motorcade rider to 30 years imprisonment. The convict, Bawa Ebenezer, a resident of Insuta near Techiman in the Bono region, was arrested on Saturday for allegedly robbing two students of the Yebua Esiama SHS at about 3:35 a.m. in their room. Anasabet was in court and has come through with the following report.
Bawa Ebenezer is a 19-year-old motorcade rider and a resident of Nsuta, a suburb of Techiman in the Bono East region. He was arrested after he forcefully robbed the complainants with a pair of scissors at about 3:35 a.m. on Saturday, August 21. Prosecuting Officer Inspector Emmanuel Kudal narrates to Joy News how the incident happened.
This is a case of armed robbery, which happened on the 21st of August 2021. The accused person is a tricycle rider, and the complainants are students. The accused person attacked them whilst they were sleeping in their room with a pair of scissors for them to handle their personal belongings to him.
The Techiman Circuit Court, presided over by His Lordship Justice Alexander Graham, sentenced him to 30 years imprisonment after pleading guilty simpliciter.
The case came to court and the plea of the accused person was taken. He pleaded guilty simpliciter. And because of the speed and the increase of robbery in this environment, the court deemed it fit to give them sentence that will deter others from committing the same offense. So in this circumstance, the court is always on give them 30 years on count 2, 3 years on count 1, and 30 years on count 4. The sentences are to run concurrently.
One of the victims, a final year student of the Yebua Asiama Senior High School, narrates to Joy News how the convict threatened to kill herself and her mate if they both failed to hand over their valuable items to him.
On the 21st of August 2021, it was raining heavily when we were asleep in our room. So we had a knock at our door, window rather. So we thought it was the rain. So later on, some few minutes, we just heard a big batch. Then the guy just barged into our room. Then he said, "Bring your phones and your money. If not, I'll kill you. Bring your phones and your money. If not, I'll kill you." So with the fear, we gave him our phones, then our money. Then he tried to do something nasty. So me too, I interrupt. We were struggling. Then he used the scissors to cut my hands.
For these victims, the memory of the said incident has been tormenting as they have to stop sleeping in their room.
From that day, we haven't been sleeping in that room. We've left the room. We've changed to different house. And before I go to bed, I'll just be sitting there and I'll just be imagining how it happened and what he did and all those stuff. So when I lie down, then I just hear a knock cry. I'll just get up. The fear is still in me. Yes.
Mukarama is, however, content with the ruling and asks that the sentence is capable of sanitizing the system.
Yes, I'm fine, because he said, if you don't give me your money and your phone, I will kill you. So assuming we didn't give him, he would have killed us. Yes, so me, I'm fine. If people who were having the intention to do that, if you are someone who have conscience, you won't do. Yes, you won't do it again, because you'll be thinking, if I do, this is what happened to this person will happen to me. So you won't do. Yes.
From the Techiman Circuit Court for Joy News, I am Anas Sabit reporting.
Some of the Techiman Traditional Council have appealed to the Acting Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, to help curb the increasing crime rates in the municipality. Adontehene of the Techiman Traditional Council, Nana Osu Entry Bosiako, made this call when the Acting IGP paid a courtesy call on them as part of his two-day working visit to the Bono East region. Anasabet reports.
The Acting Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare, has paid a working visit to the Bono East Enclave to ascertain the security situation of the region. The visit, according to the Director of Public Affairs, Superintendent Alexander Kweku Obin, forms part of measures taken by the new IGP to have first-hand information about security in the area.
The team is embarking on Bono East regional working visit. After the working visit, I think we will have time to engage the media before we proceed to Accra. So, and as part, he paid a courtesy call on the Osiadeyo Nanamia Kumfi the fourth, Techiman Hene, and conferred with the chief and his people. So we are proceeding to all the strategic locations within the jurisdiction. So after tomorrow, we will engage the media.
The IGP first had a closed-door meeting with an Ananum of the Techiman Traditional Council before paying a courtesy call on the Bono East Regional Minister, Mr. Kwesi Edujan. Alontin Hene of the Techiman Traditional Council, Nana Owusu and Chibosi Akon, described the visit as historical and asked that the visit would go a long way to help improve the security of the region.
This visit is a historical visit. We have not had any acting IGP visiting us before. This is the first time. We had substantive ones. And looking at the way he has decided to approach the issue on his appointment, the way he's visiting and touring across the country, tells you that when he's given the full position, he'll work massively. And it has been a very nice encounter. We have discussed issues with him concerning crime issues and at the same time security issues. And he also gave us his word and appreciated the effort and whatever we have done over the years to support the cause of security and the police administration in Techiman municipality. So it's not bad at all. It's a wonderful visit and we appreciate it as a kingdom.
He further noted that traditional authorities are calling for measures capable of helping address organized crimes across the municipality.
And Techiman is almost a metropolitan, and you see, like we've said earlier, we have seen numerously that the crime rate is high, the population is growing, and once it's growing, you have this kind of spillover. So the spillover which comes from other districts or regions in terms of organized crime, that is where our focus is, and we want IGP to look at that stretch and try to help us.
The IGP would also visit the eastern part of the region where a special anti-robbery squad has been deployed to help clamp down on the increasing activities of armed robbers in the area. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Techiman.
Let's go up north now. The Deputy Roads and Highways Minister, Stephen Jalula, says 4 contractors have been dispatched to work on the damaged section of the roads destroyed by floods in the Upper West region. 2 weeks ago, 8 out of 11 communities were cut off after torrential rains, which also displaced many and destroyed farmlands. It took days for the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, to send relief items to those affected, as roads were not motorable. The Deputy Roads and Highways Minister added that the contractors have been tasked to immediately begin work on the road.
Yesterday, they met with my boss and the technical people in the ministry to decide the way forward, and has come out that we will need about 50 million Ghana cedis to fix those roads. And the contractors who are already on projects within the vicinity of the Upper West region are going to do that. I think there are about 4 or 5 contractors who are going to work on that project. This is an emergency problem, and we cannot wait for money. We have to get the money, and I think that we have the money. They were dispatched yesterday to start work immediately. Whatever work they can do now, if the water has receded, that would have been better. But whatever work they can start now, immediately they have to do it to get the roads all fixed again for the people. The contractors that we have started to do this work are supposed to take all remedial actions to make the roads more trouble. So it all boils down to getting the roads fixed as soon as possible, because I think it would be better and proper for them to take up that responsibility other than giving it to 48 regiments.
Meanwhile, the Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amoakwata, has described the floods as a national emergency and therefore will be treated with the utmost priority. He, however, assured residents government will ensure that it alleviates the plight caused by the devastating flood.
We want the people of this region to know that it's not a regional matter. This is a national matter and is going to be treated as such. It's an emergency situation and it will be given an emergency treatment with all the powers that are at the disposal of President Akufo-Addo and his government.
Former President John Dramani Mahama has repeated calls by the minority in Parliament in the Upper West region, urging the president to deploy soldiers from the 48th Engineers Regiment to construct emergency roads in the disaster-affected areas in the Upper West region. Speaking at Goriri after touring some of the affected roads and donating some relief items to the victims, the former president noted that the situation is dire and urgent steps need to be taken to ameliorate the sufferings of the people. John News' Upper West correspondent Rafik Salam reports.
Former President John Dramani Mahama, during a courteous call on the overlord of the Wala traditional area, now for Sedi Pulipo of record calls made by the minority members from the region, urging the president to deploy the 48th Engineers Regiment to open up the roads.
That people are suffering, their items and properties have been destroyed, and the roads have been cut off. There's a backlog of trucks that were heading to Burkina Faso and other places that are all stranded along the road. I don't know if the president is receiving the proper security reports, but it is a very, very serious situation. And I think the president should take action and get his people, if we can get the military, the 48th Engineers Regiment, to come in with some emergency action to open up the roads quickly so that the transport of goods and passengers can continue to flow. Otherwise, it's creating a very serious situation in this corridor.
He later visited some of the affected roads in the region to acquaint himself with the situation before donating some relief items to some of the affected persons.
And the road is completely cut off. So people can't go, people can't come. There are communities that are stranded downstream that can also not reach Nadoli. And so when pregnant women, people who are ill, have to reach the Nadoli hospital, you've seen a small wooden bridge they put there. That's where they have to pass them and bring them down, and then they'll join another vehicle waiting here to take them there. People have lost properties, and people are homeless. And so we're calling on NADMO, and I'm sure by now NADMO is getting itself together. I encourage the government to give them the resources.
Rolling back to town, John Dramani Mahama met members of the Upper West Region's Local Council of Churches, where their chairman, Apostle George Apasara, gave this assurance.
You may not see us, ministers of the gospel and most of our congregations, in fix the country campaign or fixing the country campaign. But may I assure you, Your Excellency, and the ruling government, that we are monitoring things on the ground. You may not hear our silence, but come December 2024, we want to assure you all that we speak the language that politicians understand.
The former president concluded the tour, meeting the press and also addressing a large gathering of party supporters at the Botanical Institute. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
This is Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Many. We're taking a short break. When we return, we have more business and sports for you. Please stay.
Yeah, welcome back to Business. President Akufo-Addo is in Germany, as you've already known, where he pledged government's commitment to create and maintain a conducive environment that will not only guarantee the safety of investment, but also good returns as well. He told German investors at a business forum that Ghana has a stable socio-economic environment that has witnessed significant economic expansion.
We in Ghana are encouraged by the fact that more German companies than ever are looking to invest in Ghana, symbolized by the opening of representations of the German industry giant ThyssenKrupp and the German logistics global player Kuhn & Nagel in the country, and the establishment of the Volkswagen assembly plant in Ghana. We will continue to create and maintain the conducive investment environment that not only guarantees the safety of investments, but good returns as well. We'll continue to protect legitimate investments and preserve the atmosphere of peace, stability, and security that has been an important contributor to the increasing presence of German businesses in Ghana. We'll witness through the ballot box 3 peaceful transfers of power from one political party to another in the 28-year period of the Fourth Republic. We're a country where the principles of democratic accountability and respect for the rule of law, individual liberties, and human rights are now firmly entrenched in our body politic, and where the separation of powers is real in promoting accountable governance. I'm currently in my second and final term as President of the Republic. And over the last 4 years, my government has done a lot of work in correcting the fundamentals of the economy, which were all pointing in the wrong direction when I took office in 2017. We have, over the period, put in place measures needed to reduce the cost of doing business, improve the business environment, and made the Ghanaian economy not only one of the most business-friendly economies in Africa, but also one of the fastest-growing economies in the world between 2017 and 2020, averaging annual GDP growth rates of 7% for those years, up from the 3.4% growth rate we inherited from the previous government in 2016. Indeed, with the economies of many countries around the world in recession, having recorded negative growth in 2020, largely as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, Ghana's economy was one of the very few that still managed to record a positive GDP growth.
Now, the LPG Marketers Association has welcomed government's decision to lift the ban on new liquefied petroleum gas retail outlets, saying it will help the members to recoup some of the investment and boost consumption. Government is expected to meet National Petroleum Authority in September to finalize a cabinet memo on the lifting of ban on the construction of new LPG outlets. Speaking to Joy Business, Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association, Kwame, said members of the association had already disagreed with government's decision to enforce the ban.
That is a very good news to us, because we are very much aware a lot of investment has gone down the drain. We have sunk a lot of funds into construction of new LPG stations prior to the atomic incident, after which government came up with a ban. As you did indicate, we have disagreed with government respectfully that we were in the process of constructing these stations, over 100 of these stations, before the ban, the atomic incident happened. One would have expected that those which were already under construction, those which had already been given permits by constitutionally mandated bodies, are allowed to continue to operate. We would have gone with government. Government has said at the time that MPA should not give new licenses to our members, but we should allow those which are already in construction to get completed. We did some work on those which are ongoing. We had a consultant who visited these stations and tried to cost the investment that has gone down. And he came up with a value of about 60 million Ghana cedis. So for the past few years, we have been pressing on government to allow us to complete these stations so that we can recoup the investment that our members have made into these outlets. So this comes as a very welcoming news, and we are very grateful to government for seeing the need to ensure that these investments are recouped, because these investments were done by indigenous Ghanaians. You know, the LPG downstream is one of the few local industries that we have. If you're looking at participation, we have about 100% local content in terms of participation. So these are Ghanaians who have invested. So there's the need for us to ensure that this investment does not go down the drain.
Of course, that'll be it for business. I'm Charles Ayete, but I'll leave you with a summary of international business news this day.
Thanks for staying with us. And His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has reiterated government's commitment to developing school sports in the country. According to him, there are many talents that can help the country in the Commonwealth and Africa Games. And his administration is committed to improve the country's showings in the last two competitions.
Government, through the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Youth and Health and Sports, is committed to promoting sports in our schools. The provision of the requisite infrastructure will continue, especially as Ghana is preparing to host the Africa Games in 2023, as we strive to regain our place of pride in sports on the continent and in the world. The 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham is just around the corner, and I want to charge the Ministry of Youth and Sports and all stakeholders to put in the necessary measures to ensure that we improve on our performance over the Australia 2018 Commonwealth Games. I wish Ghana's Paralympic team, that is already at its training base in Inawashiro in Japan, the best of luck as they also prepare to lift high the flag of Ghana.
So, Juvenile Sports and Green Sports Academy has signed a memorandum of understanding with Ngoli organization to identify and develop sporting talent. There is more in the following report.
The partnership between the two agencies will see a collaboration to develop the skill of their staff, coaches and players, as well as the introduction of an educational football program. The agreement will also see both parties collaborate to raise funds. Speaking to the media, founder of Ngoli organization, Raymond Aglitsikpe Senior Amezado, underscored the importance of the agreement.
The partnership is about using sports to promote education. So in Ngoli, that's what we do. We are all about education. So Green Sports Academy is going to establish a football academy, and we are going to support them with what we have on board with STEM education, charity stuff, so that we can promote sports in Ghana, but specifically the Volta region.
Founder and president of Green Sports Academy, Dr. Donald Agumenu, says the establishment of the academy will reduce the level of unemployment and expects the partnership to be mutually beneficial.
There's so much to do when it comes to sports development. Even the infrastructure alone, the capital investment needed to do that, it's very important. But for me, one of the things that give me hope that it will be successful is because of the kind of people behind. So they have the requisite skills and the passion. You know, whatever you do, if the passion is not there, you cannot succeed. So the passion is so key for us to achieve that kind of dream. So that's, for me, one of the key things I believe in would help in promoting this.
Green Sports Academy is a sporting organization that gives young people the opportunity to develop and enhance their talents in the area of sports. The organization provides facilities such as soccer pitch and boxing gymnasium for young talents to be trained and groomed to meet international standards and markets.
Now, the Premier League says its clubs have reluctantly but unanimously decided not to release players for matches in red list countries during September's international break. There is more in the following report. Some information coming through on the transfer situation of Kylian Mbappe. We understand Real Madrid have presented a £160 million bid for the player. 160 million euros, I beg your pardon, £137 million for PSG forward Kylian Mbappe. PSG are now considering the offer which was received 2 days ago and have not yet responded. Mbappe has told PSG that his dream is to play for Real Madrid. The timing and, of course, the size of the bid has been designed to ensure PSG can sign a replacement if they agree to sell Kylian Mbappe. So that's essentially the latest on Kylian Mbappe, and with days remaining to the close of the transfer window. Of course, you can read more on this at myjoyonline.com/sports. My name is Hans Mengsando. That's it for now.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel Atto. You can catch up with all the fun and inspiration on the Joy Sports link here on Joy 99.7 FM, together with all other shows over and over again. It's very simple. All you need to do is go to myjoyonline.com/podcast and relive all of those fun moments over and over again. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Thank you very much for your company here on Joy News Prime. We have more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Ernest Menu.
Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university